Hi, I'm Mike, and welcome to a Motivation USA brief unboxing where you can buy anything, everything premium for your motorcycle. Let's see what we got. In this video, we're gonna do things a little bit different. In our last one, we unboxed the 60 helmet, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite lids to rock with the ODS omnidirectional suspension system. Let's get to it. I'm gonna show you a detailed breakdown on how to install a Bluetooth system with an action camera. That way you can record your ride or run it as a black box while you're on the road to keep record. I'm gonna use it to record our long-term review of the helmet. So I'm gonna show you my setup and how I do it. Here we are, guys. My new favorite helmet, the 60 ATS1. The very first thing I would recommend for you to do is gut it a little bit. What I mean is to remove all of the padding so you have space to work with. And I wanted to kind of show you this real quick. Up close and personal, where you could see the speaker pocket. I'm gonna turn it over. Let me show you this part. You see how smooth that is? It's not a jagged surface where it's kind of pointing like some other lids. That doesn't mean the other lids are bad. It just means it's a little bit more challenging getting the perfect angle. With the smooth surface right here in the front, you can center your camera for that perfect POV a lot easier. Just gonna pull right here. There we are. These exhaust vents will release warm air a lot smoother. Again, you can see the double layer here. So the 40mm left side cheek is currently out. All right, let's move to the next part. The components here, I already loosened them out so I can pull them. On the usual basis, I would do this on a flat surface. Again, I'm trying to do it so you guys could see how it's done. So it's a little bit trickier. There we are. Now you can see the speaker pockets. Now we're gonna unsnap the back side of the helmet. We'll do the other. There you go. I have access to the top of the helmet completely. This is our Bluetooth system. What I like to do, I like to use the boom mic. You have an option to use the sticky microphone, but for me, I just find the boom mic is adjustable. You can kind of move it the way you want based on how you're feeling. So for start, we're gonna prep the cradle that's going on the side of the helmet. You're gonna loosen these screws, these two screws here, as much as you could. That way it gives you as much space to work with. There you go. That's plenty. There you go. Plenty of space. And go towards the side of the helmet, and then you're gonna slide the unit in, the cradle. Once it's hinged perfectly, you like the position where it's located, then you can start tightening things down. For now, let's take a look from the side view. It's not too bad. I think that's a pretty good spot for now. And then of course, you're gonna grab your L key and start tightening things down. Don't do it completely tighten until you're sure, until you're okay with where it's at. If you look at the very side of the cradle to the helmet, there's a rubber area here. You can tell you don't have to tighten it completely. I think that looks pretty good where it's at. Before going any further, what I'd recommend to do is grab the actual unit and try to snap it on to see if it slides on perfectly without scuffing anything. Before going any further, gonna slide, there you go. And then we're snapped in. This is how it would look. I think it looks good. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run this wire at the very top of the lid. Okay. And then we're gonna pull back the inner liner to cover the actual wires. Sometimes it does require a little bit of finesse to kind of get those speakers right in there, but you could fine-tune the wiring later. So for now, we're gonna snap the liner in. There we go. Should hear that snap. Perfect. Again, keep in mind you might have to mess around with the speaker pockets a little bit to make them fit. Let's throw the cheek pads back on. I'm gonna pass this part right through. Now to slide in the latches. Just so you guys know, this is not as difficult as it looks. It's just doing it for the camera, making sure everything looks good or you can see it. Makes it 1,000 times more difficult. Something you can do within a very short period of time. Took a little longer than I expected. All right, so we'll do the opposite side. Every now and then you might encounter some issues where you're installing these Bluetooth speakers on any helmet. So a little modification is going to be required. See this little plastic part here? In order for it to slide down completely, it's going to pinch the wire, and I don't want the wiring to get damaged over time. You have two options. You could either make a small slit so it could slide to the cushion, or you can pierce a little hole here, run the wiring. Those are the two options you have. Now to slide these tabs back inwards. Very tricky tabs. Now, it was a lot more challenging getting through the snaps. Cena's completely hooked up. We're gonna move to the next step, is getting on your action camera. What I did preemptively, I kind of marked where I wanted to align where it's gonna be flat. So just kind of give you a general idea. I found the flattest spot, got a curve mount and build my whole structure already. You also want to have your action camera or your GoPro, whichever action camera you're using, you want it to be aligned to the center. Keep in mind the action camera lens is flush to the right side. I've seen a lot of people where they mount it where they center the camera, but the lens is flush to the right. So I tend to mount it to the point where the lens is at the center. I go that as the center of my frame because your field of view is the entire lens. So you don't center based on the GoPro itself or whichever action camera you're going with. So, all right. Yeah. So I'm gonna take some tape and just kind of mask around here so I have the exact placement of where I want the camera to be. Okay, there we are. Got my mark nice and cleaned up. Now you gotta take an alcohol pad. You're gonna clean the lid thoroughly, make sure there's no oils, no sweats or fingerprint or anything like that. Now you're gonna let that dry thoroughly. While that's drying, you're gonna do the next step to making sure the camera stays on without any issue. Now you don't necessarily have to do this exact step if you're planning to mount an action camera to your helmet and you're gonna let it sit for 24 to 48 hours for the actual adhesive to cure. But if you want to have that instant grip where you're gonna go out riding with your buddies right then and there, you want this to be completely adhered to the lid. You have two options. You could either use a heat gun or you can use a lighter or something like that. There you go. You're gonna peel that, then you're gonna take your heat gun. Okay, now you're gonna take the helmet and you're gonna follow the imprint you laid out. Don't apply any pressure yet until you're completely certain. You want it to adhere as much as you can. You want to kind of hold it in place as long as you can. Also want to show you guys this as well with the action cameras. GoPro has these new mounts now that are adjustable. You see that with a ball joint? It makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of tailor it to the way you like. So, all right, now in order to, I know this Bluetooth system that's currently on here now, it's perfect for GPS instructions or mesh connection with your friends while you're riding. But in order to capture clean audio with our action camera or GoPro, whichever one you use, we need to wire a second mic into the helmet. I'm going to show you how to do that. And here we are, guys. This is the second mic that I'm going to wire into the helmet to actually capture my audio. There's a few ways of actually doing this. You can actually put a dead cat on here for you to record. It's not going to capture any wind noise, but a good tip if you don't want to have too much stuff in your lid or near your lip or anything like that, you want to run this mic on the cheek pads. That way it's protected from the wind, also from any pops when you speak and you're doing P's and S. that gets exaggerated a little bit. By putting it on the inside of the cheek pad, it's gonna really buffer your sound and the wind sound. All right, let's throw that in. What I'd like to do is kind of search in here to see which one of these areas that would work perfectly fine for the mic. I like this little area here. Hopefully it's not a bad setup. That's the inside of the cheek pad. I'm gonna place the mic right in there. Could make that out. I'm gonna slide the mic in here and it should buff it most of it. It might take a little bit of trial and error to get it correct, but usually in here is a clean slate. It's very difficult to show this. I'm doing my best to kind of see. The mic is actually inside the cheek pad in here, in between the plastic and the cushion. You're gonna run the excess wire through the neckline of the helmet, so that way to everyone else it looks clean. Just keep in mind when you're following this tutorial or you're looking to do this, you have to kind of be instinctual when you're setting up yours, because it's very difficult to show exactly where you're putting things because it's such a tight fit. It's actually in here between the pads. You should see the excess wiring passing through here. Just kind of consolidate as much of the wiring as possible underneath the neck roll. That way from the outside it looks very, very clean. So all I'm doing now is I'm just really storing the wiring between the cheek pads and just keeping it very low key, because again, you have to use your own instinct to kind of wire it. You could always tidy up your wiring later if you like. There we are, very clean setup. Put everything back as it were. Helmet looks normal. Here we are. So far so good. We got our internal mic is in the helmet. We have the Bluetooth in there. We also have our GoPro. There we are. GoPro setup, good to go. Bluetooth setup, good to go. Profile view of how everything looks. Again, the camera is exactly centered of the helmet. All right. Hopefully you guys found this video useful or helpful, but yeah, definitely hit that thumbs up. As recommended, use your parts purchase to support the store that support your sport. Motivation USA gives back to the riding community with everything from safety seminar courses and World Ride Racing sponsorship. For the most trusted parts and accessories, shop motivationusa.com. All links will be in the description down below. And remember, ride safe and ride often.